Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing another mystery case. So if you guys are new here, hi, welcome. My name is KODRINA and I do beauty and mystery cases, disappearance, and all of that good stuff. True crime is my #1 thing that I love and I'm really passionate about. So with that being said, let's get on to this case. I will be talking about Jennifer Kesse. This is another case that I have been super obsessed with and I've been following for a really long time. I have like my good handful of cases that I try to keep up with, stay updated with the case to see what's been going on with the family, any new leads, etc. So Jennifer Kesse was 24 years old when she went missing, and she went missing in January 24th of 2006. So before I jump into the events of that day, I do want you guys to get to know Jennifer and get to know the type of person that she was. So the way the Kesses described Jennifer was that ever since she was a very young girl, she was always very bright and very smart. It did say that ever since she was very little, she loved reading books. She loved learning, of course, as the time went by and she became a teenager. Her and her mom fought a lot, but that's completely normal. Obviously, once we grow into our teenage years, we don't always see eye to eye with our parents, so it was something that obviously happens. It's very common. But her parents did say that once she went away to college, the relationship was a lot stronger. Once she came back, she and her mom became very close, as well as with her dad. I feel like her relationship with her dad reminds me so much of me and my dad because we are super close, and her dad did say that they were able to talk about anything and everything, which describes the type of bond and relationship she had with her family. Also, Jennifer does have a younger brother named Logan, which her father did say that they were very close with each other and she loved her brother very much. Now, another thing that her family did mention as well was that Jennifer was a very responsible and safe person. Safe as in she would check in with them at all times, make sure everyone was safe, as well as letting her parents know what she was up to. And I feel like that's something that I related to her. And oh my god, I'm sorry guys, apparently my throat wants to act up right now. But anyways, they did say that she was just a very precautious person, and I was gonna say that it is super rare that a 24-year-old or any young lady in her 20s is very self-aware of the dangers that there is out there. I always say to any girl, young women especially, be careful when you're out, let people know where you're at, just be very cautious when you're going to the store, making sure who's around you. Once you leave the store, don't be on your phone. So she seemed like she was that type of person, which made me even more intrigued with her because in her case, because I was just like, this is crazy. She was a very safe person, very responsible. Her mom even mentioned that when she would get in the car, she made it a habit when she was reaching for her seatbelt that with her elbow she would push down the lock button. I'm sure years back, you know, we didn't have that unlock automatically as we now do. We have that privilege. So yeah, she made it a habit to just make sure that when she was in her car, it was locked and she was safe. Also, her dad Drew did mention that when him and his wife Joyce were younger, before they had the kids, they were held at a gunpoint. So that made them want to teach their kids to be very safe and to be aware of the dangers of the world. So I feel like that played a big part as to why Jennifer was the way that she was. So at the time of her disappearance, she did have a relationship with a guy named Rob, and they had been together for about a year. They did have a long distance relationship due to the fact that he lived in Fort Lauderdale, and that happened to be 4 hours away from Jennifer, where she lived. Also, Jennifer had just moved into her new condo, which happened to be right next to a brand new mall, and she was very thrilled about that from what her dad has said because she was a shopper and she loved to shop. Moving on to the day before Jennifer went missing, she actually was just coming back from vacation which she spent with her boyfriend in St. Croix, Her boyfriend did say that while on vacation, she got to meet his closest friends and family. And out of the 4 days that she was going to be spending with her boyfriend in St. Croix, she did call her dad 3 days out of those 4 days, and it was just checking in with him and letting her dad know what she was up to, what she was doing, all of the activities that she was doing with Rob. So after returning from her trip that Monday of the 23rd, she did end up leaving her boyfriend's home in South Florida and drove directly to her job. She didn't stop by at her condo whatsoever. She just drove directly to her work. Now after her shift was over, which happened to be at 6 that evening, she drove herself to her condo, and when she was home, she spoke with her parents, her best friend, and her boyfriend. Now, the next day, which happened to be on Tuesday the 24th, Jennifer's boss notices that she still hadn't arrived to work, and that was super out of character for her. Like I said, she was a creature of habit. I feel like everyone kind of knows the type of person that she is, and found it very weird that she still hadn't arrived to her job. She hadn't called in to let them know that she was either sick or she was going to be late. So her boss decides to reach her parents. Her boss, thinking that maybe the parents would know where she's at, obviously, like I said, due to the fact that she was very close to her family, maybe they would know. But shockingly, her parents didn't know where she was. They hadn't spoke to her. So they told her boss, we have no idea where she's at. She hasn't contacted us. We haven't spoken to her. As soon as Jennifer's parents find out that she did not show up to work, they immediately call her cell phone and her house phone, but Jennifer does not answer any of their phone calls. He has always told Jennifer that no matter what she is doing, to always pick up their phone calls. So right away, like I said, they know Jennifer is a creature of habit. So this was very alarming to them, and right away they knew that something was wrong. Her parents also tried to get a hold of Rob, her boyfriend, which they were able to get a hold of him and asked him if he maybe had talked to Jennifer in the mornings, or if he knew why Jennifer didn't show up to work. And it just so happened that Rob also mentioned he hadn't spoke to Jennifer that morning, and they usually would call each other on their way to work. It was a habit of theirs that they would always call each other in the morning, wish each other to have a great day and start about their day. But that morning, like I said, he had a very busy morning, and he assumed that maybe Jennifer was also having a busy morning herself, so he didn't bother to call her. So he just went about his day. So after speaking to Rob, Jennifer's father, Drew, does decide to contact the main office from her condo complex, and he answers the phone and tells them that if he could please go check to see if Jennifer's car is in her assigned parking space. And the man goes and checks, and turns out that Jennifer's car is not in her parking space. It was completely obvious to the family that something was not right, and they decided to grab their stuff and head out to Jennifer's place. As soon as her parents arrived to her condo, they realized that there doesn't seem to be any signs of a struggle. Everything seems to be pretty normal. They do notice that Jennifer's mace spray was on her countertop, so that was kind of alarming because Joyce, her mother, did say that she carried that mace everywhere she went. Also, her mother Joyce did mention that her suitcase was right by the door, which was obviously signs that she probably got home, put her suitcase aside right by the door as soon as she got into her condo, and it was still untouched. It was still, everything was still inside the suitcase from her trip. So when they walked into her bedroom was said to look like she had slept in it because her bed was undone. And they did notice that she had outfits laid out on her bed, kind of seeing or thinking that she was trying to see what outfits she wanted to wear for that day. So everything looked like she had slept in her bed that night, the previous night, and she woke up early in the morning. They also noticed that her towel is still damp, which Jennifer's mom Joyce did say that Jennifer liked to shower in the mornings before going to work and getting ready. And they said that they did go check the shower, and in between the shampoos and all of that, there was still some moist in there. So they were assuming that Jennifer got up early in the morning and prepared herself for work. And they said that they also saw some pajamas on the floor as well as her underwear, and her contact case was still there, but her contacts were missing, which means it's obvious signs that you're getting ready. You know, you put on your contacts if you wear glasses. So all the signs were that she got ready that morning and she was ready for work. Her mom did say that she did notice some pair of pumps that she had just bought in that were from 9 West that she was very happy and excited to purchase. She noticed that those were gone, which her mom thinks that maybe those were the shoes that she decided to wear that morning. So 2 hours later, the Kesses finally decide to contact police and let them know about the situation and what's going on with Jennifer, and the police don't take them serious. They tell them that maybe she was mad and she needed time to cool off, and maybe she just left on her own will. But like I said, no one knows better Jennifer than her own family. So that's one of the things that get me mad and upset, is that police, being able to talk to her family, they could get to know the type of character that Jennifer was, and for her parents to describe her and let them know, hey, this is the type of person that Jennifer is. She's not a girl that is up to no good. She's very responsible. And like I said, she's a creature of habit. Why wouldn't they take that serious? It just makes no sense to me. So after the Kesses basically get nowhere with police, they decide to act fast and start printing out flyers with Jennifer's information and picture, as well as her license plate number. And they decide that by rush hour, when everyone is getting out of work in that route that she would take back to her home or to her work, they all decide to pass out the flyers to people to make sure that Jennifer's face is out there, so people, in case if they were to see her car or her face, are familiar and know that this is the person that they're looking for that's missing. While Jennifer's family was at her condo, they do learn that half of the units in her condo complex are unoccupied. It means that there is little to no witnesses that could have potentially seen her or seen if anybody would have abducted her. Now, like I said, Jennifer had just moved into her condo. Those were fairly new buildings, so they were still being under construction. They were still working on them. So with that being said, there was no security cameras whatsoever, which that's something that is so annoying. And I would feel, if I was alone living in my own brand new condo, I would be even more scared, because if something happens to you, how was anyone going to be able to see if there was no security guard or any security cameras whatsoever? So that is really annoying, and I'm pretty sure if I was in her parents' shoes, I definitely would have been pissed off, because believe it or not, cameras, video cameras help out so much, as well as having a security walk around. So it definitely would have been easy for someone just to snatch her, super easy for someone just to commit a crime or do whatever it is that they were doing to someone, kidnap them, and no one would even know or have any witnesses around. Also, Jennifer's condo complex did have gates, but at that time, like I said, since the building was still fairly new, they would remain opened at all times of the day because they had construction workers coming in and out. The family did say that due to the fact that there was so many construction workers at the time of her disappearance, it was super easy for them just to learn her routine and get familiar with who she lived with what time she would leave to work, what time she would come back. So it was just pretty easy for them just to watch her come in and out, since they were there most of the time. So finally the local news picks up Jennifer's story, and her story is being plastered all over the news, which is a great thing for the Kesses, because that means more faces will get to see Jennifer's face and information as to her car. And finally, by 9 p.m., she is officially entered into the system as a missing person. So by Wednesday, the next day, no one has heard anything about Jennifer. There hasn't been any new leads, no one to contact the family or police that might give them information about where Jennifer might be or if anyone has seen her. Up until Thursday, that's when they finally get a new lead. Police received a call from someone saying they had seen the type of car that Jennifer Kesse drove, and it just so happened that there was a car identical to hers parked in their parking lot. So police decided to follow up on that lead and show up to where this apartment complex was at. Police received a call from someone claiming that they saw a car that looks exactly like the one that was on the news, which was Jennifer Kesse's car. And it just so happened to be parked in their apartment complex. Also, that person that called police to notify that there was a car that looked very similar to Jennifer's car happened to live on the Huntington on the Green complex, which was only a mile down from where Jennifer's condo was at. When police arrived at the Huntington on the Green apartment complex, they were able to identify that yes, indeed, it was Jennifer's 2004 black Chevy Malibu. Police noticed that there was little to no evidence in Jennifer's car. Everything seemed like it was fine. Everything seemed like it wasn't disturbed, or like someone was going in there searching to rob something or take something from Jennifer's car. They did mention that Jennifer did have a DVD player in the back of her seat, which happened to still be there. So the motives behind this wasn't that they were intending to steal from her or rob her. Obviously there was a bigger purpose for her being missing. Of course, the lack of evidence from Jennifer's car was very frustrating, but they quickly noticed that in that apartment complex there was a camera that was actually facing not too far from where Jennifer's car was parked. So they quickly tried to get a hold of that footage. But again, police were left disappointed because by getting the video footage, they were thinking that this might lead them to their person of interest, but it led nowhere, guys. It was just so disappointing. Even looking at that footage, it is unbelievable how lucky this person was. In the surveillance video, you could clearly see that the person of interest drops off Jennifer's car, and they said that that person dropped it off at noon on the day of her disappearance. They pulled into the visitor's parking space and waited 32 seconds to exit her car and walked away. Whoever this person is, they are extremely lucky. Like, I just couldn't believe, like, if I was Jennifer's parents, which I'm sure they also feel the same thing, all I could feel is frustrated, like frustration to the max. Every time this person takes a step, their face is being covered by the bars of the gate, which is insane. So a lot of people were saying that they felt like the video might have been edited, or it might have been cut into each time the person was taking steps. They did say that the cameras were designed to capture images just once every 3 seconds. So every time that that person was taking a step, it would miss the whole entire face of the person, because by that time there was a pole from the gate that was being covered. Like, how frustrating was that? It is also said that investigators went as far as contacting NASA to see if maybe they were able to enhance the footage, but even then they weren't able to. They weren't able to tell if the person was a female, if the person was a male. It's honestly very hard to be able to tell if this person is a guy or a girl. Like, how frustrating is that? But what I can say is, and a lot of people have been saying this, is whoever this person was, their outfit, it lines up to kind of what a person in construction might be wearing, kind of like a painter. And then someone else said it could have been someone that was working as a cook, which honestly it kind of does, but it's very hard to tell with that footage because there is literally nothing that you could see. The only thing that police were able to determine was the height of the person. Judging by the height of the bars, they said that this person must have been 5'3" to 5'5" feet tall. I saw somewhere that someone mentioned that this has to be the luckiest person of interest alive, and I honestly couldn't agree more, because it's just ridiculous how this person got so lucky. Like, it's insane. As you guys know, that when someone turns out missing or anyone gets murdered, the first people that they look at is the people around or closest to that person. They did interview her boyfriend, and they quickly ruled him out, that he had nothing to do with it, as well as her brother Logan. It is said that Logan did stay over the weekend while she was vacationing with one of his friends, but he had left way before she got back. So they checked out his story, and it came clean. It was good. There was also another story being said that Jennifer's ex-boyfriend was not too far from Jennifer's condo the day that or the night before she was known to be disappeared or missing. And they also interviewed him, and his story also was cleared. Everything that he had told police matched and was cleared from any wrongdoing. There was also a co-worker from Jennifer's job that had wanted to have a relationship with her, but I think the guy was married or something like that, and Jennifer wasn't interested. So she quickly told him, hey, like, I'm good, I don't want anything to do with you, especially because Jennifer was a very professional person and she didn't want to be dating anyone inside of her job. And they also quickly ruled out that guy, because they did say that he had said that Jennifer might have gotten eaten by alligators. But police interviewed him, and it just so happened that that day that Jennifer was missing from work, he also came late to work. So they found that a little bit suspicious, but he actually had gotten stopped by a police because I think he was speeding, and he got a ticket, and his story was cleared out. So he had nothing to do with it. So after all of those stories and all of those people that were interviewed had been in the clear, the only people that you could point the finger to, and I could possibly say I also agree with this theory or story, that the workers had something to do with Jennifer's disappearance, because a lot of Jennifer's family did say that as soon as they found out that they were investigating Jennifer's case, a lot of the workers just disappeared and didn't show up for work. But then they did say that a lot of them were undocumented, so it makes sense. It's also been said that a lot of those construction workers were actually living in the empty units. I would be so scared. Obviously, being a woman and living on your own is even more terrifying. I could only imagine. Now imagine like having these workers live in those empty units. Like, I would be so scared. Jennifer's dad, Drew, did say as well that these workers would shout out things to her when she would walk by or pass by. And I also read somewhere, I don't remember where, I don't know if this is like an official thing. I'm not sure if this was even in the podcast, because there's a podcast that I also listened to, which used to be all about Jennifer Kesse's case, but they now transitioned it to another case that happened nearby where Jennifer lived. And they did mention that where the main office was, I guess all the keys of the apartments or the condos were hanging, and they were very accessible, so you could just literally reach. They weren't locked or anything, and I think you could just get the key that you needed and, you know, dip out. So that's a little scary, just to like know that the keys were left unattended, unsecured, and anyone could just come and grab them and put them back. I don't know, but my theory is that those construction workers has something to do with it. Also, in the podcast that I do listen to, they did mention something that's pretty interesting. So it kind of makes me guess the whole construction worker thing, but I'm like, at the same time, like, who else could have it been? Jennifer's mom did say that she thinks that this was like a human trafficking case or situation, and police also do say that it could be possible due to the fact that the area where Jennifer lived wasn't the greatest area. It is known for drugs, prostitution, so it's not a very great part of town, you know. So the podcast that I listened to, which is the one that I mentioned, Unconcluded, they did mention something that was very interesting. So they said that whoever dropped off Jennifer's car clearly weren't familiar with the area, because they took a route that obviously they were caught on video camera, and they were most likely to be seen by people, and people were most likely be able to identify that person, and they chose that route instead of taking another route, which they did say that that route leads directly to like a bus stop and to the intersection. So clearly this person that took her car and parked it didn't know the area that well. So it's pretty interesting. So it makes you think, was it the construction workers? I mean, they would have been familiar with the area, right? Or was it someone else that could have been maybe a human trafficking situation? Which, like I said, this case just drags you in a whole different directions. Like, you don't know what to think and you get lost. And that's a very unfortunate part of this case, that there's not a lot of information. There's not a lot of people who saw anything, and there's no witnesses. So up until this time, they haven't found Jennifer's keys, her wallet, none of her personal belongings, and that is a very crazy situation and frustrating for her parents. Her parents have done a lot to keep Jennifer's case alive, and that way people keep knowing about her case. Also, Jennifer's dad, Drew, and Joyce did say that they took Orlando police to court and filed a lawsuit because they didn't want to release the case files so they could do their own investigation. And from the podcast, Drew did say that they were actually, as soon as they took them to court, they automatically were like, okay, we're gonna send copies of the files so that way you guys could do your own investigation and look at them. But he did say it's taking longer than it should, so they're still gonna keep trying to fight that and try to get those files in their hands as soon as possible. Also, another thing that I'm looking forward to and can't wait to watch is a special. I believe that's what it is. It is going to be on the Oxygen channel, and they're doing, I think, a special for Jennifer Kesse, and they're going to be covering her story there, and I can't wait to watch that. They said it's supposed to be released next year in January, so I'm looking forward to that. And Jennifer has been missing for so many years that honestly it's hard to not lose hope, but I'm honestly just rooting for the Kesses and hope that they will find answers sometime soon. And I just can't believe or could ever imagine being in their shoes. Every time that I hear, you know, them talk about Jennifer on the podcast, it's very emotional, and it's just crazy to know that your child is gone and you don't have answers to what happened to your daughter, you don't have no closure. I can only imagine what that feels like. I'm sure it's something hard to deal with every single day. Try to live your life normal knowing that, you know, your child is still missing. But I give props to them because they're fighting, and they're fighting strong, and they're trying their hardest. Wherever Jennifer is, if she's still alive, I hope that she is able to see everything that her parents are doing to find out what happened to her. And well, my loves, that is the end of this case. I hope that you guys get inspired by these videos to know and do better when you're out by yourself. Know that your space is your safety zone, and don't allow people to get close to you. Always keep a lookout. Obviously, there's only so much that we could do. I mean, just look at Jennifer's story. She was a very safety person. She was very cautious, aware, and even then she couldn't prevent something like that happening to her. So I am very aware of that. But always stay off your phone when you're walking to your car. Always let people know where you're going. If anything, if you trust someone so much, maybe your parents, if they have iPhones, you know, try to keep your location on for them. Just remember to stay safe. Tell your loved ones that you love them, because you never know when will be the last time that you get to see them. Anyways, my loves, have a great one, and I will see you guys on my next video. Bye, guys.